Hey everybody, it's Amy B, and this is your weekly version of Agent Hacks. Hope you guys had a great Halloween and you are digging through all the best candy today. Today's episode of Agent Hacks is about the DISC profile, the DISC profile. And what I realized is a lot of agents don't know about the DISC profile. I was kind of surprised, and so I thought this might be a great opportunity to explore the DISC profile a little bit, share a little bit about what that's used for, why you should know what your DISC profile is, and how you can use it to your advantage in your business. So today what we're going to talk about is DISC. If you have a DISC profile and you know what it is, go below and type your dominant trait. So is it a D, an I, an S, or a C? Now let's talk a little bit about what those are. So the DISC profile is a personality profile that a lot of people take to understand themselves better. And then what that does is it allows you to understand others a little bit better once you are more able to identify what their dominant DISC profile is. You can actually take the DISC profile for free if you go to Tony Robbins and then search DISC profile, and you can take a free one right there. Now, full disclosure, it's not always the best when you get something for free. So a lot of your office managers will even have access to providing a professional version of a DISC profile. It's a very quick test to take. It's probably a series of 30 or 40 multiple choice questions. And I can generally take it in 5 or 10 minutes, but I'm a high D, so I'm going to be the first one done with any test. So it's a pretty easy test to take, and there are no wrong answers. That's important to understand, is there's no wrong answer. It is what it is. And so I would encourage you to go to TonyRobbins.com and take the DISC profile if you haven't already, because it's so insightful. What he does is he gives you a full report, and any DISC profile will give you a full report, and it'll tell you about yourself. It'll tell you where you work well, where you don't work well, areas of improvement that you can do, who you work well with and who you don't, all kinds of things like that. It is an amazing tool. If you've never taken it or read about yourself, it is incredible. And to take it one step further, and again, I am the highest D you can be, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But most me at least, I don't tend to read the report. I just look at the picture and I'm done. And that's what a high D does. But if you take some time to read that report, it is just amazing, amazingly insightful. Okay, so Paul, he's a DC, and we've got Matt, that's a high I. Good morning from Palm Springs. Thanks for joining us. So what is your DISC? So here's what DISC means. D is dominant behavior. This is a fast-paced, decisive person that's extremely goal and results oriented. They generally like to maintain control and make very quick decisions. They're leaders, they love challenges, and they love having high standards. They're impatient in general, and they get frustrated when people can't make decisions. So that's something to learn if you are a D, to learn that you have to be more patient with people, because not everybody makes decisions as quickly as a D. All right, so I's are influencers. They are fast and spontaneous. They're people. They love to be around people. They're life of the party. They're high influencers again. They like to participate. They like praise and encouragement. They're persuasive, motivating, entertaining. They've got high energy. They really like to be recognized in social situations, and they're just the life of the party most of the time. Very engaging and energetic. They always say that the real estate agent tends to be more of a high I, or focused on that I category. But we're going to talk about how the DISC kind of lays out nationwide in a minute. The S is high steadiness. So they're slow, they're relaxed, they're very relationship focused. They like security, and their strengths are listening, teamwork, follow through, and supporting others. So they're really great in supportive administrative roles. And they don't like sudden changes or instability. So there are going to be people that stay in positions for quite a while. They're not going to jump around a lot. And they're going to be the stable people in a group of people. Then what we have is our C's, and C's are conscientious, all right? So C's are like the detail people in my book. They're slower, they're systematic, they're very task-oriented. Everything for a C is black or white. There's no gray, there's no in the middle, it's right or wrong. They're very accurate and precise. They'll be the people that'll go to, hi, this is Amy, and it's 10:43 p.m. I mean, that's very precise. Their strengths are that they follow the rules very, very, very closely. They are logistical. They are planners, creating systems and structures. So that's a high C. And so what are you? Hey, Bill. I bet you're a high I, but I'm curious. So DISC, how do those fall out in the population as a whole? Well, there's this psychological concept in psychology. So I got a degree in psychology, and I'm fascinated with this concept called projection. And projection means basically, if you are something, if you are a Christian, let's say, you project on everyone else and you believe that they're also Christian, right? So if you think Reese cups are the best, thing in the Halloween candy jar, you would also project and assume almost that everybody else thinks so too. So you've got to get your Reese cups before everybody else does. But in reality, other people actually like other things more. So we have to recognize that whatever we are, not the case that everyone else is. And that's a big aha. And that was a big aha for me, is that I am this one way, but other people are very different from me. And I have to learn what is a turnoff to them and how I can work with them better, how I can position questions and ideas better so that they can kind of connect with them a little bit better. So here's how the spread works out. We've got a high S, high I. So D's, that's what I am, and I'm the highest D you can be, pretty much. D's account for 6% nationwide of the dominant trait in people that take the DISC profile. So very little D's, which means that it's not appropriate for me always to be very direct and get to the point and have little fluff in my sales presentation, right? So I have to remind myself to always add the small talk in and add the personableness into things, because I tend to just get right to the point and get the job done. All right, I's. I's are people like Bill, who is a great agent down in Charlotte, and he has all these friends, and they're always engaged and doing things and kind of the life of the party. And so I's are 12%, which is also not very much of the population. The thing is that real estate agents tend to be a little bit more influencing. They're a lot more outgoing in general, a lot of times, or else you have to put that face on as an agent. So a lot of real estate agents will be a high I. And then what we find, which was crazy to me because of my assumptions that I had based on projection, is that S's and C's are the majority of our population with over 82%. So the Pareto Principle here. The majority of people are S's and C's. S is that steady, and C is that conscientious, precise person. And it's at 42 and 40%. And so I was kind of surprised by this, but good thing is we've got a lot of steady people out there that make good, thoughtful decisions, and it helps support everyone else to move forward. So let's talk a little bit about, I find examples are helpful. So let me give you some examples of what a D, I, S, and C are, so that you can kind of connect in your head what each of these types of personalities are. So a D personality, I just have some notes that I pulled this morning. Popular D personalities. Now think about these people, all right? High D personalities are Charles Barkley. You know, he's on the behind the sports desk, and he just has no filter. He calls it like it is. It's cut and dry, right? John McEnroe, tennis player, same thing. Boy, he never held anything back. The greatest of all time, Michael Jordan. Yes, it is Michael Jordan. And he is also high D personality, just very focused on goals and on results. And then finally, Arnold Schwarzenegger is also known as a high D personality. Again, very focused on goals and results. High I's, let's talk about who high I's are. Well, that's Oprah Winfrey, no surprise there. And that is my greatest idol of all time. Will Smith is a high I, very personable guy. And Bill Clinton is a high I personality. And I think we all saw that in his campaigning and in the way that he was able to become elected president. Let's talk about the S's, because this is the majority of the population, S's at 42%. So S's are Gandhi. I mean, think about how relaxed, slow, intentional he was, how steady, and just very focused. Martin Luther King Jr. is a high S, very steady, consistent, focused on his goals. Michelle Obama is a high S, and so is Mr. Rogers. We all know Mr. Rogers' personalities, just very careful with children, very thoughtful to explain things, very slow and methodical. So that is your high S. Now, let's talk about the C personality. This is the conscientious. This is the task and detail-oriented person. Albert Einstein is a C personality. We've got Bill Gates at a C personality, very, very technical. Diane Sawyer is a great example. In another newscaster also, or anchor, Tom Brokaw, very high C personality, and thank goodness they're checking facts, they're making sure that they've got the details correct, they're reporting on the news, and this is a very important job. So high C's are very important in those respects. I encourage you, Jason, you say you feel like you're half D and I would just encourage you to go to TonyRobbins.com and take the DISC profile. I really think that you're going to see a lot in it. And Sonia added that she redid it after 3 years, and things changed a little bit. I'll tell you that I've taken it 13 years ago, and then I took it again recently, and the results are pretty much the same. The leading dominant mark is always a D for me, and it's always extremely high. My I has gone down just slightly, and then I used to have no S or C whatsoever, and now that's kind of peaking up just a tiny bit. So really overall it should stay about the same, and it's kind of interesting how it does that. So what I'd like to talk about is, okay, so once you understand who you are and you understand the typical traits of other people that are, these other dominant traits, now you have to learn how to work with them as a real estate agent or as a salesperson, or as maybe your transaction coordinator is watching this and she's learning how to deal with high I's or high D's and trying to get the paperwork in. So you just have to know who you're working with in order to apply things to them, right? So think about, and this is one of the things that I teach in my Sell 100% of Your Listings is, and also the buying course now, is identify who your clients are so that you can best kind of modify your presentation towards them, right? So here's how you do that. In our course, we teach to ask a pre-qualifying question. And we ask this pre-qualifying question in our listing course and in our buyer course. And it's in the beginning of the process so that we can identify what personality profile our clients are so that we can be gearing our communication to them in those ways. I can tell you that one of the best buyer's agents I've ever seen, which is my buyer's agent, Jenny, she says this is the most important question she asks people when she begins working with them as buyers, because it helps her understand how the rest of the transaction is going to go, and it helps her better position things for her clients. So here's what you do. Ready? Get your notepads out. So you ask your client, if your family and friends were to describe you, would they say you are? And they give them 4 options. And here's the 4 options. And they are the D, I, S, and C. Okay? Would you, if your friends and family were to describe you, would they say that you are straight and to the point? That's a D. Would they say that you are social and outgoing? That's an I. Would they say that you are steady and dependable? That's an S. And would they say that you are careful and perfectly accurate? That's a C. So these are the options that we provide to our clients. And what we find is that they immediately can answer that question without hesitation. Almost anyone can, and you probably can too, right here as you're looking at these. And once you identify the type of personality that the person on the other side is, you can learn, like for me, if I'm a high D and somebody says they're steady and dependable, I have to be more patient about giving them the information they need to make decisions, because they're not going to make decisions as quickly as I would. And I have to be aware of that, and I have to slow myself down, right? If you are super outgoing and social and you know, you're dealing with a high D, here's the thing. If you're doing a listing presentation with a high D and you're super outgoing and social, the D is going to get irritated because you're taking too long and you're telling too many stories or you're going off in too many tangents, and you need to keep your presentation very focused and bulleted, because they're most concerned about controlling time and making sure that everything's as efficient as possible. So I'm getting a lot of really great comments. Gail is an S. Hi guys, thanks for joining in and mentioning it. Here's another thing that we use the DISC profile for. Back in 2009, when I started to build my team and I hired a buyer's agent, I went through 2 buyer's agents before I discovered that this concept. And if you like what you're seeing right now, go in the comments and type DISC. Type DISC if you think this is valuable and helpful. Yin and Yang. When I started to build a real estate team, what I didn't understand is I thought that I needed to hire people like me, like, you know, high achievers, goal-oriented, focused, go-getters, self-starters, people that figure things out on their own, you know, like I was. That's who I wanted to hire. And I hired a couple people like that, and it did not work. It was like this constantly, right? So when I discovered the DISC and I discovered that I needed to find the yin to my yang, everything kind of fit. Everything fit. And I ended up hiring, basically, I'm a high D, a little I, and then no S and C. I knew then how to find my assistant, which was somebody that was focused on the S and C and had very little D, because I have all the D that we need, and we focus on the details, because that's not what I had. That was so helpful to me when I learned how to focus on what I needed So I had the black and I needed to find the white part, right? So it was just easier. So you can use a disc profile for that very reason too. I find it interesting that, you know, even others in other business roles, you know, are using the disc profile to make hires. I taught my husband about the disc profile, and he uses it when he's identifying people for certain jobs that need to be extremely detail oriented. And it's just very helpful. It's a guide to understanding people, even if they don't know it themselves what they are. So I've been doing this for so long that I can almost reach out like Heather. Heather's sometimes on these videos, and I told her a couple months ago, I said, have you ever taken the disc? And she said, no. And I said, well, let me tell you something. You're a high I, but go take it and read the report. And she was like, sure enough, you knew it. And, you know, I'm not the best at the disc. There's a lot of people that are better at it than I am. Just understand yourself, and your world will open up to helping you understand other people. I can give you a really great example of my life. My life, I am a high D, right? My husband is a high C. So he's very systematic and detail oriented. It's black or white. There's no gray. There's no gray. And so here's an example. A couple years ago, I wanted a dustbuster. So my Heidi personality would prescribe that I go to Target, I look at the dustbusters on the shelf, I pick one, I buy it, I'm done, right? So I didn't do that. And I told my husband, hey, I need to get a dustbuster. I want to get a dustbuster. So he begins to research the dustbuster on Consumer Reports. And then he starts to look at Amazon reviews. And a week later, I still have no dustbuster. And I'm like, hey, where's the dustbuster? Well, I haven't bought one yet. I'm still researching it. Well, that did not work for me because I make decisions like that. And he investigates everything. Now, I think that's really good when you're buying a car or, you know, some major purchase, but this is just a dustbuster, right? So I proceed to go to Target, buy the dustbuster off the shelf, bring it home, and guess what? I used it for 2 days and it broke and it doesn't work anymore. So whether that's a win for me or not, that's just an example of the way it is when you're working with different personalities and you see different people make decisions in different ways, slower, faster, deliberate, researched. And you can tell when somebody comes to you as a real estate agent and they're looking to hire, they're going to have a list of questions if they're a high C. They're going to have a list of questions a mile long. They're going to want to know what your numbers are in certain categories, or if they're a high D, they're going to want you to get right to the point, tell you how you're going to sell their house and what your ratios are and percentages are, and they're going to make a decision pretty darn quickly right there, and because they don't want to really continue wasting time interviewing a bunch of other people. If they're a high I, they're probably going to choose their friend because they love their friends, and it's not going to be a business decision sometimes. When you're working, you know, in this business. And the high S, sometimes they're going to take a long time and they're going to need to absorb the information that you're sharing with them, and they're going to need to just feel really secure about it. I'll tell you what, when you do get the favor of all of these people and you learn how to work with all of these types of personalities, you have hit the literal communication jackpot. And you can really lead people in the right direction when you understand what their bait is, if you will. So hopefully this was helpful for you guys. Again, TonyRobbins.com has a free disc assessment. I would also encourage you to reach out to your office manager. They generally have disc assessments available, especially KW has those. There's different companies called People Keys. There's some different options that you can purchase disc assessments online. Really great stuff. Don't only look at the chart like I do because I'm a high D. Read the information. Understand how others perceive you and make sure that you are presenting yourself in the way that is going to be authentic, but at the same time be helpful to the other people, you know, on the opposite side, because you're a team, right? And you need to work as a team, and it's a yin and a yang. So do your best to kind of complete the circle so that you can have the best interaction with people. Thank you again so much for your interest. And if you have any questions, make sure to post below. If you like what you see, be sure to type in Agent Hacks so that I know that you like the stuff and I keep doing it. All right. Have a great day. Happy November. Bye-bye.